If you have found yourself in a state of fear, uncertainty, anguish over how the current times are going to affect or potentially affect your overall wealth plan, then you need to tune into this. If you think about the times that we're in, it is no secret that it's interesting to say the least. If you have found yourself focusing too heavily on market fluctuations, on the negativity that's in the media, worrying about things like the effects of inflation and all of the scare tactics essentially that are being put out there right now, then that can feel incredibly draining. It can zap your energy. It can make you feel incredibly uncertain for your own personal financial situation when you look forward into the future. So the things that are not being talked about enough are what you can actually control. And the interesting thing is that there are actually quite a few things that you can control, that you have direct, immediate control over, that could potentially set you up for some positive opportunities for retirement success as you continue to navigate. Now, again, that's not the thing that incites clicks. That's not what gets people to engage. The media uses fear, uses scare tactics to get people to read their articles, to watch the news stories, to continue kind of going down the rabbit hole of all of the things that essentially incite fear. And we won't go down that tunnel right now, but there's a lot of different reasons behind that. So, what you want to look at is what you can focus on. If you think about getting to the end of your lifespan where you are essentially reflecting back over years and years and years of memories, thinking about, where you put your focus, how your energy was, how you showed up for the people around you, I think it would be a safe bet to say that if you're in a state of fear, if you're in a state of frustration, you're typically not showing up as your best self to the people that are around you. So you can think about that from a couple different perspectives. You can think about that from the perspective of your family, your loved ones. Are you showing up as the best version of you when you're in a state of complete worry, frustration, lack of control, uncertainty, all of those things? You might be listening to this, and maybe you're somebody who you run a business, you own a business. Are you showing up as your best self if you're in a state of fear for your team and for your clients and your customers? The answer to that is probably not. Think about that from all aspects of your life. So, regardless of what life stage you're in, there's a whole slew of reasons why we don't want to fall into a fear-based mindset or a scarcity mindset, especially during these uncertain times. You want to essentially bring the energy that you want and desire to a particular space. So if you desire fun and happiness and excitement and a peace-filled life, then that's how you need to show up. And again, if we're looking at how this directly impacts you, if you think about all the things that are being put out into the media, all the things being put out into the world right now that could elicit fear, they're all things that are outside of our control. So that might be inflation. You don't have direct control over that right now today. Fear of what maybe the tax brackets are going to change to in coming years. Again, something you don't have direct control over. The market fluctuations, sitting and watching this hour by hour, day by day, there are professionals out there that do that all day, every day for a living. That's not something that you should be dedicating and devoting your time, energy, and attention to. Again, you want to be looking at the things that fill your cup, that bring you joy, that give you energy, and that keep you excited about the future versus fearful and scared of what might come. So if we go back to your immediate, your wealth plan, you're thinking long term. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is making short-term decisions. So making a decision based on immediate situation, be it a dip in the markets, be it, this uncertainty or whatever is being talked about in the media. So being influenced away from what you set and determined to be your long-term plan. If you're making fear-based decisions that are based on what is going on right now versus what you've deemed to be important in the long run, that can potentially get you into a negative situation that can actually derail your retirement success plan, that could potentially derail you from achieving the things that you want to achieve. So again, we're in this for the long run. We're not in this for, immediate benefit. So again, you're listening to this, you're thinking about, yeah, maybe you're in retirement, maybe you're nearing it, and you're starting to wonder, oh my gosh, can I retire when I wanted, or can I live the lifestyle that I wanted in retirement? So that's why it's so important. We're going to talk about 5 things, only 5 things today that you could have immediate control over, that is not, it has nothing to do with the markets. Okay. 5 things that you could be having conversations on with your advisor right now today that may or may not benefit your current plan. Again, each scenario is so different. Your wealth plan is going to be different from your brothers or sisters, that is different from what your parents was, that is different from what your children's is, that's different from what your colleague or your neighbor or friend or whatever. So again, you have to look at how these apply directly to you, but these are conversations that you can be having with your trusted advisor to potentially help you make more informed or better informed decisions that are, again, long-term focus versus caught up in the short term. So the first of the 5 things that are within our control, that the media isn't necessarily talking about is tax loss harvesting opportunities. So anytime you see these peaks and valleys in the market, it's a great time to start looking at how you can potentially create long-term tax efficiencies by making some changes today. Now, one of the things, anytime you think about taxes, and I'm not a tax professional, but we have worked within the business, many people on their overall wealth plans over the years. So when you're looking at creating tax efficiency, you want to be careful to make sure you're not only looking solely at savings that happen today, but savings over the lifetime of your plan. So that's something that you should be talking to your advisor about, is tax loss harvesting. This is something that we are constantly looking at for our clients. It is opportunities to create tax efficiencies within their plan, working closely with their CPAs, closely with their estate planning attorneys to help them make even more informed decisions. That's a conversation you need to be having. The second is potential eligibility for Roth conversions. This is something, again, it's very dependent upon each individual's situation, but now is a good time to start looking at if this is something that might make sense for you. There's different variables that come into play there, looking at tax brackets, looking at what your situation is right now versus what it might be down the road. But that's another conversation. And again, think about the 2 things we've just covered. These are things you and your advisor have immediate control over. So definitely something you want to look at. This is something that we're looking at for our clients. We've been doing this year over year, but now is especially a great time to look at that opportunity. The third is potential timing on when you might take Social Security. Now, this obviously applies if you're already taking Social Security, then your plan is set there. There's other things you can look at within your control, but this is for somebody who has not yet decided to take Social Security. You might want to look at how and when the timing of what you were thinking might overall or impact your plan overall. Again, what you're looking for here is a great mix of, taking advantage of that benefit that you get, but also timing it in a way that makes sense tax-wise. So you look at, again, going back to that tax efficiency planning and just really making sure that you're making the best overall decision for your individual situation. Again, the timing on taking Social Security has nothing to do with market fluctuation as it sits right now. So that's something that you can make decisions on immediately with the help of a trusted advisor. The fourth is tax planning around health insurance and Medicare expenses. There are some strategies that could potentially be deployed there, again, dependent upon your individual situation. But this is something that our advisory team is watching, that our team of professionals is looking at and helping give guidance and or advice dependent upon each person's unique situation. So again, if this is a conversation you haven't had with your advisor that hasn't come up yet, and you haven't looked at recently, if you've not gotten to the point of taking Social Security yet, that's definitely a conversation that you want to have. And then finally, out of the 5, again, if you're working with a trusted advisor, there is a massive amount of information that they are looking at or should be looking at and digesting and reviewing on your behalf. But again, today we're only going over 5 key things that you could take and look at right now. So if you are still employed, you have an employer-sponsored plan. So something like a 401k, for example. If you are at the age of 59 and a half or older, you may be eligible for what's called an in-service withdrawal. Now, again, you have to look at this from your individual situation, which is why working with a qualified wealth advisor who does all of this day by day is so important. But this is something you might want to consider, because what happens in an in-service withdrawal, you would then move some of that money into an IRA, and you may be able to be exposed to more investment or more diverse investment opportunities. So again, this is very dependent upon your individual plan, on what your whole scenario looks like, but this could be something that you may want to take advantage of that you may not be aware of at this point. So again, if you are not working with a trusted wealth advisor, this is why working with somebody who has the softwares, who is able to do these analyses, who's able to help you make informed decisions, not just decisions based on what you've heard or read or have even been told by friends, family, colleagues that they've been doing, but that is completely built around your particular scenario. There is no form fill. There is no cookie cutter approach. These things have to be considered kind of high level down, looking at your all-encompassing plan, looking at your long-term goals. What have you stated is important to you? What is it that you want to be doing in your future? How do you create a fulfilled retirement? Well, it's not just basic investment management. Up to this point, maybe that's something that you've been able to get by with because you've been accumulating money. You've been maybe setting it away and forgetting about it. But now you're going into this distribution phase of life where things become a little bit more complex. There's more decisions to be made, and there's a whole variety of things to look at that, again, is individual to you. It's based on your scenario, not your neighbors, not your friends, not your family members. So again, the 5 things that people are not talking about enough, the things that are not being put out readily accessible, and that advisors may not even be speaking about enough, are tax loss harvesting, eligibility for Roth conversions, the timing of when you might start taking Social Security, tax planning around your health and Medicare expenses, and then, of course, the in-service withdrawal option. So again, those are things that we are looking at for our clients proactively, that we are consistently reviewing and having discussions around and helping them make informed decisions on. But if this is something that hasn't come up yet with your wealth advisor, definitely take this list to them and make sure that you're having these in-depth conversations, that they're utilizing the tools necessary to help you make informed decisions for your future. Again, we can't control what's happening with inflation right now. We can't control what the tax brackets may change to. We can't control the fact that the markets are can be tumultuous, that things happen, that there's peaks and valleys. So what we can control is our individual decisions within our plan. You can control the notion of keeping focus on the long game versus being influenced to make immediate decisions, maybe around what's going on right now, that could in turn potentially have a negative effect on that long-term plan. So the goal here is to give you some controllables to help change perspective a little bit so that you essentially delegate the worry away. Let your advisors worry about this stuff. Let your advisors have the concern, have their eyes up, their eyes open, antennas up, and be paying attention to these things that are going on so that you can look at, what do you want your next trip to be? Who do you want to be surrounding yourself with? What are the hobbies that you want to be focused on? During times of uncertainty, especially, the days can feel really long, but the bottom line is that when you reflect back, the years are incredibly short. So it is so important to remember and embrace this, that yes, there are things that can feel heavy or feel scary or create uncertainty. But if you become all consumed by those things, think about the areas of life that you're missing out on. You're then missing out on embracing all of the good that is out there, of embracing what it is that you've deemed to be important. And if you're listening to this and you're in your retirement years, you're wasting precious years that you've literally spent your whole entire life working towards. So make sure that you have a trusted professional in your life. Make sure that you have somebody that you can have these conversations with. So for more insights on the things you can control, on where you should be putting your time, your energy, your attention, and if you want to fill your cup with things that are positive and inspirational and that actually help you or have the potential to help you make advances on your goals and on your biggest dreams, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, as you will be the first to know when any new information drops, when any new video is made available, so that you can keep that perspective and keep your long-term focus versus being caught in the short term and in the immediate. So be sure to keep your time and attention, your energy focused on the things that fills your cup.